conversation with the Gayatri. You see, this little prayer the Hindus have been using for thousands of years throughout India is an extremely potent prayer. Let me just show you the potency of the prayer. This is what it says. It says, let us meditate. You see, because the Hindus have discovered that this idea of spirit or spirituality or religion or all the prophets, the fountainhead of all these ideas is really first an encounter of the spirit. The only way you can be sure about religion, God, all this marvelous stuff you hear about is you must encounter it for yourself. It is marvelous for your prophets who have discovered it. Good for them. But we too must touch base with it and get a real kick, genuine kick, real kick of the world. So this is what the Gayatri is about. So let us meditate on the glorious effulgence. It uses the word effulgence. Sometimes when I deal with children, I say, why do you think they use the word effulgence? Why can't they say light and make life easy for you? And there is a technical reason. You see, light requires an external source. You need wires to get it going. And if you pull the plug, it doesn't work. Effulgence is self-lit. It doesn't require external support. It is lit up by itself. That's why the term is effulgence. So it says, let us meditate on the glorious effulgence of that supreme being who has created the universe. This idea that there must be somebody or some individual or some force behind this universe. So say, let us meditate on that glorious effulgence of that supreme being who has created the universe. The next part is the one that ladies here are going to love. It says, may she enlighten our hearts and direct our understanding. The central prayer of the Hindus says this idea of the ultimate reality. Males are nice, but they're tiresome chaps. Why can't think of the ultimate reality as female? Address this ultimate reality as she. So the central prayer addresses the idea of the Supreme Personality as she. So it says, may she enlighten our hearts and direct our understanding. Now you see, the idea is this. Human beings possess two faculties that we use to make sense of the world that we live in. One is our head, of course. We like to intellectualize. We are nosy parkers. How is it? What is going on around? We like to think like that. We need to engage our head all the time, the intellect. That's our speciality. But we sometimes forget there is something much more deeper within us, our heart, our intuition, because that is the better guide. So it says, look, in order for you to grasp the idea of spirituality, use both the tools, the head and the heart, the intuition as well as the intellect. Don't let go of the intellect because you can easily be waylaid. You can really disappear into the wrong corner of the world. Use both of them together to relate to the idea of the spirit. So let me begin my journey with the Gayatri. What is this idea? Look, I go to lots of schools and colleges and universities and talk about various aspects. And I ask the youngsters, you picked your name as a Christian or a Hindu or a Buddhist or a Jain or whatever, but do you really agree with that enterprise? And this is my real experience in routine life. I do this all the time. Almost every day I go to some school. Now vast majority, and in some schools 90% of the youngsters say blatantly, we are not religious. Even though we tick our name, this is just to acknowledge our tradition. We come from this tradition, that's what we are acknowledging. But we do not go along with this enterprise anymore. So then my next question to them is, if you are not religious, what are you? They say, we are spiritual. There's good stuff here. I've heard that word. It's nice, rounded, nice, warm word. You're spiritual. And of course, then I would ask them, what do you mean by spiritual? Of course, I like to quiz them too, because they're going to do that to me in a minute anyway. So what do you mean by spiritual? Let me give you some examples. And some say, it's things like, love and compassion and all that. I say, it's nice to use these rounded terms, warm terms, love and compassion. Now, what is this love thing? Because you must dig deeper. You are saying spiritual means being loving. So I'm saying, what is this love thing? And if I ask a 5-year-old child, what is love? And the child knows very clearly. He said, it's so easy. You feel nice and warm. That's love. I said, my boy, suppose I plonk you in front of the radiator in a winter morning and you start feeling nice and warm. Are you in love with the radiator now? He said, no, I didn't mean that. You ask a teenager, what do you mean by love? And of course he becomes very ticklish, becomes fidgety. It looks, I know exactly what you're trying to say. If that girl that you met at the party replies to your text message, that surely is love. You say, yes, you got it. So I'm sorry to disappoint you, my boy. There is something there, but most of the reason why we're feeling ticklish is because there are these pesky little things called hormones playing up in your system. So then you ask a grown-up, define love. What is this love that we say is spiritual? What is this love business? And they'll say, well, Mr. Lakhani, so straightforward. Love means you take care of others. You take care of other people. That shows love. That's the expression of love, to be caring. Sounds again very good. And then you say, look, if you went to the restaurant down the corner, and as soon as you enter, you plonk a 50-pound tip to the waiter before you start. That waiter will be hovering around you, taking care of you throughout the day. Sir, are you warm enough? Can I put the napkin for you? He's so caring, more than your family members any day. Does it mean the waiter is falling in love with you now? You see, the reason why I'm lightening up is this. We are dealing with very subtle ideas. When you try and capture the essence of what is meant by the spirit, it will defy being captured. Every attempt you make to capture it, encapsulate it, articulate about it, you will fall short of the target. Now you may feel this is terrible, this means it's a waffly idea. To the contrary, this is the very potency of the phenomena. If it was ever possible to capture the idea of the spirit, through any such gymnastics, intellectual gymnastics or articulation, if it was possible to capture it, do you know what we will do? Of course, we'll bottle it up and put it next to the gin and the vodka and say, spirit here, spirituality in this bottle now. You would immediately, if it was ever possible to capture what is meant by the word spirit or spirituality, it loses all its potency. It becomes a lapdog of your intellect, of your mental activity. It is no longer the spirit. So the fact that it avoids being captured through all this various articulation is a good sign, not the weakness, is the very strength of the idea of the spirit. So you see, every time we try and articulate and we struggle. Now this is how I'm going to begin my session. This is my suggestion. As I said right from the beginning, if this idea of religion or spirituality are not first-hand or do not become first-hand, then it's not worth it. You see, the reason why all of you are here, I'm just challenging you. I'm telling you, during some stage in your life, at some very, routine, when you're doing something very mundane in your house or walking in the street or near the seaside or river or whatever, doing some mundane thing, washing up sometimes, you must have had a glimpse of a deeper reality. Suddenly you feel at one with the whole creation. You feel that you are not what you thought you were. This creation is not what it appears to be. And you felt at one tremendous thrill. And the intensity of that experience is so dramatic that you don't require validation from any Mr. Lakhani. You know. This is the important part of the spiritual experience. You know. You don't require to be. So one person said, Mr. Lakhani, when I meditate, I get to see sparks. What does it mean? I say, if you have to come and ask me what it means nothing. It means you are daydreaming. Go to a physician and sort yourself out. This is not spirituality. When it hits you, you know it. You don't need, you see, because the intensity, look, you see me now at this stage. And there is a certain level of intensity with which you are observing me. When you're in a dream state, the intensity is weak. It's very, very difficult to capture the idea of being, experiencing. When you have a spiritual experience, the intensity with which you experience the reality shoots up dramatically, difficult to quantify it. It shoots up. For the first time you know, yes. And this is called, if you like, this is the fountainhead of all religions. This is what we are on about. Experiential religion, not just belief system, but something to touch base with. And this is our inheritance. If one human being claims to have had this experience, and if it's a universal phenomena, the doorways have been opened up for the whole of this humanity to experience this for itself. This is a marvelous challenge. And as I said, unless you had that glimpse, sometimes the glimpse is very fleeting. Let me give an example. I met one Christian gentleman, a very personal friend. He said, Jay, I was walking on the Norfolk roads and near the seaside, and suddenly tremendous peace descended. And I could feel tremendous oneness and being uplifted. I said, what is this? What is this? That's the first thing you get. You go, what is this? What is this? It's so dynamic, so exciting. You seem to have come home. He said, Jay, I was such thrill. Then he said, what do I do? When I go home, back to normal. The display is gone. And I can't stand it. I want that experience all the time. So what do I do? Next day, the same time, 4:35. Had the same lunch, exact the same moment of time. Woke me the same position. I thought I'll get it back again. It didn't come. What can I do? I said, this is the problem. The whole aim of religious life is to be established in that experience. Once you get a glimpse, we can't keep away. It will alter your life forever. This is the proof of the pudding. If it is not life transforming in a very positive sense, then it is not spiritual.